news.
Brendan Nunez, I'm refreshing everything now, but Brendan Nunez is letting us know. Here it is from Chris Haynes. The Sacramento Kings are acquiring Jake LaRavia from Memphis, sources tell me. At the buzzer, that's of 2 minutes ago. Thank you so much, Brendan. Jake LaRavia. I'll tell you this much, guys. When I covered the Warriors, it was that draft. I can't remember who the Warriors got, but Jake LaRavia was taken right before the Warriors picked. I think that might have been the Patrick Baldwin draft. I can't remember, but I really liked Jake LaRavia. 6'7", power forward, small forward type. He's a shooter. Is he? Give me your comps as Chris Watkins and Brendan Nunez sit down. I will say this: we know Monty's type. You know, if we want to do the Charmander Charizard thing with Doug McDermott, Kevin Huerter, and Jake LaRavia, he's definitely not a defensive savant, right? Am I off on that? He's a shooter.
Yeah, shoots the ball well at 6'7". I think defensively there are some interesting things. You know, he's a guy that's going into unrestricted free agency because suffered injuries that really hindered his first 2 seasons in the league with Memphis after getting drafted in the first round. They don't end up picking up his team option for that 4th season, which leaves him going into unrestricted free agency this year. But
so a rental possibly in a way,
potentially, but the Kings will have some rights to him obviously here as part of this deal. But a guy that really took a step this year by doing a lot of the little things, whether that's, you know, just hustling for 50-50 balls. Memphis plays the highest pace in the league, and they play a very deep roster. So he's going out there, and he's not the quickest guy, but just a hustle guy in general. And I think 6'7" is really the key here. You're getting a wing that just some wing forward depth that was desperately needed on this team for years now. And you finally solved that a little bit here. Still sort of
details are out too.
TBD. Yeah. Do we got what else is going on?
2028 second round pick to Memphis plus Colby Jones and Alex Len.
Oh, okay. Well, we thought about that with Valanciunas joining the crew.
Part of the Marcus Smart trade as well.
Right. We thought about that when Valanciunas joined, what would happen with Alex Len, and now we know. Thank you for your service, Colby Jones and Alex Len. I'm looking real quick, guys. Jake LaRavia. He is only 23 years old, as Brendan, you said, a couple of injuries. I really did like him a couple years ago when he went to the Grizzlies. 47 games this season, 7.3 points, 4.4 rebounds, 2.8 assists, 49% from the field, 44% from three, 69. That's kind of surprising. 69% from the free throw line. But, I mean, to your point, Brendan, that's a little bit of everything. And we saw him get time with some of the injuries from the Memphis Grizzlies. Look, I'm not going to get on Monty for not doing anything, and then he does something and said, well, that's not good enough. This was at the buzzer. They, you know, I talked a little bit about this. We don't know what constraints were put on him. You know, is Monty, is he allowed to move Geekamar? You know what I mean? Whatever it was. So let's get something. He's an upgrade from Doug McDermott and Kevin Huerter and some of the guys that have been trying to fill in there. And I would say, would you say he'll take some of, not necessarily Trey Lyles' minutes, but some of those spots where Trey Lyles was that power forward as well?
I think that you probably still see Trey out there a bit. I would imagine that there's less guard play, you know. I think that the minutes can go down in general for some of the starters, and that's where some of this can come from for sure.
Yeah.
Specifically DeRozan, Levine, obviously. I think Domas' minutes are going to go down with Valanciunas in here. But I think that it's more so about, I mean, the whole point of getting a wing forward in my mind was balancing this roster, right? So I don't think it has to be straight up like he takes another forward's minutes because there were so many guard-heavy lineups here. LaRavia can play the 3, he can play the 4, he can play next to Trey, he can play next to Domas. You can play Domas, Trey, and LaRavia all together out there. So I think it just gives interim head coach Doug Christie some optionality here and some actual size. You know, there's, like I just laid out, there's real lineups that I think are viable where the Kings can actually go big now. Yeah,
just a lot more flexibility. I mean, guys, we were all sitting next to each other last night, and there was a scene where Malik Monk, he was dealing with the foul trouble. Malik Monk subbed in for Keegan Murray. And I'm just thinking, I don't like that. I don't know how often that should be happening. To your point, Brendan, with all the guard play and just having different combinations to go to. All right, guys. Well, let's get right into it. Obviously, there's so much to break down. And look, initial grades are going to be tough. But Chris, with this move being made, the roster is now set going into, they sit at 500. The roster is now set going into the rest of the season. I guess it depends on your expectations, but how you feeling about the Kings, Monty McNair, and what they were able to do this go around?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit complicated just because, you trade your franchise player and it feels like it's kind of tough to say that you win at a trade deadline when you end up doing that when, realistically, sure, you could say that they could have had that deal done in the offseason and didn't need to make this decision that quickly. But I guess you kind of have to grade it on a curve in that sense. And if you're just basing it off of the moves that the Kings made, I mean, I think if you kind of, and I don't know if people will want to do it. I don't know if it's even really fair to do it, but if you want to kind of view now that the deadline is passed, if you want to kind of view all of these acquisitions as one and not independent deals, if you say it's De'Aaron Fox for Zach LaVine, Jonas Valanciunas, Jake LaRavia, and then whatever they have remaining, I think they have a couple first round picks remaining from the deal. I think it's at least setting yourself up to not take a step back. Right. I think, take that what you will. I mean, the Kings definitely haven't played to where I think everybody expected them to be this season. So I think at the very least they're staying neutral and they can continue to build from here. But again, you lose your franchise player and it's just kind of tough to say that you come out of this as a winner of the deadline. I think it's, again, you've probably done about as good as you can to kind of recover this. I think it would have been nice just to see if you could have kept De'Aaron Fox and maybe added Jake LaRavia and Jonas Valanciunas. But at the end of the day, this is where they're at, and the deals have been done. And I think, again, I think that they've done about good enough or as good as they could do, given what they had to do or felt like they had to do. So, I think you have to feel okay about it. But I think really at the end of the day, I feel like all the same concerns that we had still exist. It's just, again, I feel like the Kings haven't taken a step back.
Yeah. And, I was having the conversation earlier just as far as what is the plan. We had Brett Siegel on and kind of asked him, how do organizations view these retools and what exactly the plan is in these situations? As far as this season is concerned, look, they added some pieces, and I think Jake LaRavia is an upgrade from Kevin Huerter. I think that Valanciunas is an upgrade from Alex Len. Sure. So I think they hit on those. The issue is, and I've never was the biggest De'Aaron Fox guy per se, based on what he was needed to be out here, but now you lose that. And the question that we'll find out is Zach LaVine, and I don't want to jinx anything, but we've seen guys get traded and not necessarily continue the production.
Sure.
Right? Dennis Schroeder did not work out with the Warriors. It was a complete fail. So we're hoping that Zach can keep it going. Does that mean that's going to continue this season? I don't know. Right? He's been away from the game. He had his third child. Could it possibly go into next season? I don't know. But I mean, it feels like based on the situation, and I know you guys, we're in the building for Monty McNair and the presser. If this whole thing was really as far gone as he kind of alluded to yesterday, and the summer was even kind of rough with De'Aaron, I'll take it. How about that? I'll take it. If you're going to lose De'Aaron, I will take this haul any day of the week.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a little bit how I feel. I mean, I think it's ideal that you keep your franchise player, but all things considered, I mean, yeah, Zach LaVine is playing fantastic this season. We'll see if he can continue. I doubt that he'll be able to play like he did in Chicago. Like you said, I mean, it's a different situation. He's going to get different touches, different spots, all that kind of stuff. He also has teammates that also deserve to have the basketball, which frankly wasn't necessarily the case all the time in Chicago. So I think naturally his numbers will probably go down. I think the hope is that, he can find his spots, find some efficiency. And, Sam Amick was on the morning show today kind of saying that he doesn't think that Zach LaVine is super long term for this team. Like his
Can't
contract
keep doing
is only
this,
up.
man.
His contract is up after next year.
You said that?
Yeah. And I mean, I think that it kind of makes sense. I think it makes sense for them to kind of, in a way, kick the can down the line, and maybe you can kind of get some value out of Zach LaVine next season or next trade deadline or again, maybe hopefully he can figure it out here in Sacramento and maybe he can be a piece moving forward. But my understanding is that, this is kind of just them trying to recoup some sort of asset for the asset that they felt like they had to lose. And Monty kind of mentioned it yesterday. This is the first time he feels like he's had positive draft picks. And I feel like he also kind of feels like this is the first time where he has, I guess what he would say is a positive assets to play with on top of the picks as well. So again, not ideal, but I think you're about as good as what they feel like they could have done given all the circumstances.
Brendan, how you feeling? I know you're working hard over there.
Yeah, just about to get this article up. I think it's interesting. LaRavia is an interesting piece. I think that he is
and hold on.
Yeah.
Frankie's got you working double time with the baby. So
a little bit.
You're doing both. We appreciate you for being here. Now please continue.
Got you. I mean, I think it's intriguing to me what he does offer. I think that this is the wing depth piece that was sort of what we were clamoring for, I also don't know that I feel like he changes the trajectory of the team this year. I think that it is a smart move in general, sending out really just a second rounder in the deal. I don't know how you feel about Colby Jones throughout all this. I don't think any of us have strong feelings about Colby Jones, understandably.
Wish him the best. Wish him
the best for sure. That's a good way to put it. But it helps. Like I mentioned earlier, I think the biggest thing here is you're almost starting to see a trend a little bit back in the other direction when it comes to NBA roster construction of like what Cleveland is doing, what we just saw Dallas do of now going big Anthony Davis next to Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford. Like you need to, the Memphis Grizzlies, the Orlando Magic that we just played last night. Like you see these teams that roll out jumbo lineups, and I don't even think the Kings had an option to do that.
No,
maybe there's some world where you're running DeMar or Levine at the 1, Keegan at the 2, and it's like, I mean, I'm already lost at that point who's playing the 3 and the 4. So again, I think the biggest thing here is it gives you optionality when it comes to what rotations you want to go out there. I'm not expecting LaRavia to move into the starting lineup or anything like that, but a guy that also maybe there's something untapped here. He wasn't getting that much run with Memphis. Like I said,
23.
They run a really deep rotation. I want to say he was just the 19th pick, something along those lines in the 2 years ago in the draft as well. So there's intriguing pieces here, but I'm certainly not going to sit here and pretend like I think this changes the trajectory of the team going forward.
Bobby Marks is also saying, he just put this out, the Kings are in a unique situation with Jake LaRavia because Memphis declined his 4th-year team option. The maximum Sacramento can sign him to as a free agent is $5.1 million. I think the assumption there is that he will make a lot more than that in the open market. So you could infer that Bobby Marks is essentially saying this is a rental for Jake LaRavia who will hit free agency this offseason.
This ain't Blockbuster, man. I'm done.
Crazy. That is kind of crazy.
That's crazy.
You didn't give up anything for it. I mean, like Brendan just said, you essentially just gave up a 2nd-round pick, Alex Len, who was already falling out of the rotation, and Colby Jones. Again, whatever you feel about Colby Jones, that's pretty much what you gave up for a look at somebody who, who knows. Again, we've seen people go, I don't know how much Jake LaRavia might make in the open market, but maybe he is willing to take some sort of discount if he feels like the situation in Sacramento is one that's worth staying. I don't know. On its surface, it does seem like that wouldn't be the best idea, but at the same time, again, I think that this team is really trying to compete for the remainder of this season, and they are trying to do as much as they can to kind of keep their heads above water this season. And I think the plan is to readjust this offseason if I had to read some tea leaves.
You know what? Unfortunately, this reminds me of a little bit. You remember when Dante DiVincenzo was going into, was it restricted free agency, actually, I think at that point, but the Kings got him right before he was going into that offseason.
Right.
And they kind of messed with him a little bit.
Tank his value.
It started Justin Holiday over him.
Mm-hmm.
So
they need him though.
They do. And so maybe I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit here, but there's like a weird, how good do you want him to play?
Yeah.
And the answer is you want him to play great, obviously.
Yeah. Chris, I'm reading here the same post that you saw from Bobby Marks. So he says 5.1 mil. Is he inferring that would be per year for a next
I would assume
deal?
so.
Okay.
Yeah, I would assume that would be the. I would assume that would just be the maximum amount of money per year that they could offer.
All right. On the other side, we continue the conversation. Is this in some weird way a win-win? Let's explain on the other side. Alan Stiles, Chris Watkins, Brendan Nunez on the way back. Alan Stiles, Sactown Sports.
All guests and callers join us from the Folsom Lake Honda Hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
On the move? Got somewhere to be?
Take Sacramento Kings basketball with you. The Sactown Sports app will let you stay connected to your passion. Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with the Sactown Sports app.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave coming to you from my good friends at American Energy. Look, it's already cold outside. It's only going to get colder. American Energy wants to help you stay warm and make sure your system is operating safely. So right now is the time to take advantage of the $49 tune-up inspection. Normally $119, $49 right now, and that includes a full safety and duct inspection. And check it out. If your system's over 10 years old, and I'll bet it is, the tune-up, it's free. It's free from a company that's been in business since 1981, serving the greater Sacramento area. A+ Better Business Bureau. Check their Yelp, check their Google reviews. Don't take my word for it. Give them a call right now. $50 off your first recommended repair. If you need a new furnace, half off the price of a new unit. Check them out at theaeway.com and tell them Carmichael Dave sent you.
Call 916-520-9998 now.
The only station in Sacramento giving you local sports coverage from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. Sactown Sports.
Yeah, I like this music coming from Anthony. Anthony doing a great job for us. Brendan, actually, I was going to say Kyle Ledbetter, he won't be back tomorrow, but neither will I. Brendan will be filling in for me tomorrow here.
Yeah. It's somewhat TBD still currently.
Okay.
But I think so.
All
I
right.
think so.
Hey, it'll be a
Guess we're doing it
surprise.
now.
Yeah, it'll be a surprise for everybody listening. All I know is I'll be listening on the plane if I'm able to do so on my way.
Where are you headed?
To Redmond, Oregon.
Oh.
For my goddaughter's birthday.
Yeah. Popular vacation spot.
Yeah.
It's going to be terrible.
Yeah.
Excuse me, because my buddy listens. From the weather.
I was gonna say, who's listening?
From
Who's
the
listening?
weather perspective.
Maybe Alan will be in tomorrow.
No, yeah, exactly. You don't want to come? Don't come.
Yeah.
All right. So as we break down, I'm talking about the weather, Tyler. You know I'm talking about the weather. So as we break down what the Kings were able to do, I was talking about some details with you guys right here. And look, I know I've been a little doom and gloom here, people. You know, it takes me a while to find my way, but I can cook up some optimism. And this is what I got. Guys, this is a win-win for the Kings, isn't it? Hold on. They get into the play-in. This is still a team where, Chris, you coming up as a young buck in Sacramento didn't see a lot of competitive basketball. You get to see your team either a 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe they get a 6 seed, and you get to see some competitive basketball. We're still getting used to postseason basketball in Sacramento. Or this is a complete disaster, and
that's a win-win.
And there's a chance for Cooper capture the flag, baby. There's a chance.
I don't think there is a chance. I think they've already won too many games. Maybe if that Hornets pick was not protected.
Right. We'd have to talk about some crazy lottery luck at that point.
Okay, but they would keep their pick at the very least.
Yeah.
If they're the 10 or the 10 or they miss out on the play-in, if this is a flop, we're back in a very deep draft. Huh?
But what does that mean for like
we would be back?
The prospect? Like, how would people look at your team? You know, if you
Does
end up
DeMar DeRozan
flopping
still
that
wanna be
bad,
here?
Yeah,
this
DeMar's
year,
probably
DeMar.
gone. Sure.
Yeah.
But
Hear Malik's comments the other day, yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're seeing you're getting forced into there's no more foot in, foot out. It's rebuild time.
Yeah, I think that, like we talked about after the Levine trade,
Not on
that, you know,
purpose.
there's probably a refound energy with this group. Like, you would hope that this is a spark in a way, the same way that when they went to Doug Christie in place of Mike Brown. They roll off 7 straight, 11 of 15, whatever it was there. The LaRavia move itself, I think, is very low risk. We're talking about a 2028 second rounder. Colby Jones, Alex Len, guys that aren't really playing on a night-to-night basis. Alex Len certainly won't play now that Jonas Valanciunas is on this team as well. So there's very low risk there, even with the, likelihood that LaRavia ends up walking this offseason. It's low risk, and it's something that you very much needed. So I don't know that I'm as optimistic about the outlook of this team as maybe you seem to be, but it's something, and it's something that needed to be done, and a step in the right direction for the rest of this season.
Yeah. And now we got 2 options here,
All it
guys.
took was trading your star player.
All it did. And star this, star that, star so bright. I wish a star I'd see tonight. Don't get me started with De'Aaron Fox.
Wow.
Chris already knows this. Chris, come on now. Now listen, come on.
What's up?
You hear what I'm saying here, man. You got 2 routes to
Marvin
go.
Bagley's been traded again. Wizards are sending Marvin Bagley to the Grizzlies as a part of the deal. Johnny Davis to Memphis. So there you go. There's 2 draft busts, frankly.
Wow.
Just kidding.
That's
Swap.
crazy.
I mean, what are we talking about here? Johnny Davis is like all-time terrible.
Yeah.
Marvin is Marvin.
Speaking of as well, this was 20 minutes ago. The Pacers traded James Wiseman to
swerve around that question.
Well, what's the question?
No.
I just saw
Your question.
James Wiseman. My question.
Oh, you swerving.
Yes,
I
I
see.
swerve.
Yeah, see, no, but I'm going to get you back. James Wiseman is going to Toronto.
Great.
That should be
Great.
interesting.
You
Is
know
he gonna
what's
play
wild
basketball?
is that Cam Johnson is still on the Brooklyn Nets.
Still on the Brooklyn Nets. That's tough, man.
Well,
Even Jimmy got out.
yeah,
It's like
they said.
Zach got out.
Yep.
I mean, John Collins, poor John
De'Aaron
Collins,
got
still out there
out.
struggling.
And you know who else? You know who else? As we turn, you guys got jokes today. As we turn the page to tonight's game, eventually, Jeremy Grant still on the Blazers,
Still on the Blazers.
and now
Still
we're
on the
dealing
Blazers,
with
poor guy.
a team that's won 9 out of their last 10, and they didn't get touched.
Yep.
They did
Toumani
not,
Camara,
which is
DeAndre
kind of
Ayton.
nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
None of them.
Denny's playing great for them right now.
Poor Matisse Thybulle.
Matisse Thybulle's
That
still
dude's
chilling
just
over
been-
there.
Well, he can't play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Robert Williams.
Yep.
Just
Still
Yeah,
made it.
there's
And
that
then
was
all
the
those
name.
centers.
And then you just see Mark Williams, another injury-riddled
Ugh.
big.
Yeah, he got
Get
moved.
a crazy package for him.
yeah, your boy Dalton Connect's gone now.
That's how I started
Teaming
the
up
show.
with Tejan.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I'm a
this
Hornets
is
guy
great.
now.
Yeah.
I mean, Tejan looks terrible, but I hit on Dalton
Yeah.
so far.
Yeah.
I'm trying to, we're having a little bit of fun with what the Kings are going to be able to do now. I didn't spend a lot of time on last night's game because it's not the team. The Magic, I know they're walking bricks, but they were due. They were due for a win. They've been playing.
I don't know if they were
horribly.
due for 130, though. Second worst offense in the league.
I mean, and I'm going to be honest with the
Anthony
audience
Black,
here.
I heard you going in
Once-
on Anthony Black.
Once
this morning.
Anthony Black made that 3, I grabbed my stuff and left.
Yeah.
I
You did. Can't confirm.
I've seen enough here.
Alan said they called it. I'm calling.
You know, I say, guys, when they stop showing up, I leave. Okay,
Yeah.
that's when I see. Well, he's gone now, so it doesn't matter. Colby Jones and guys like that.
Mm.
Are you taking anything away from yesterday, or we need to see? And that's the other thing about the trade deadline. Everyone keeps asking us, Brendan, Chris. I don't know if you have any updates on Valanciunas playing tonight. I keep
Haven't heard
getting
anything.
asked that.
Yeah.
I haven't heard.
I'll
either.
peek at the injury report real quick.
Yeah.
But the trade was finalized yesterday.
Yeah.
So I would
I've heard
imagine
they're trying, but
he
I have
will at
not
very
heard if
least
they
be
are.
with the
Yeah.
team today. Or at least that's what I would expect, not reporting that. And yeah, currently no injury report update, but we're going to get another one here in like 7 minutes. So we'll see.
And you look at this thing. You play the Blazers tonight. I'm willing to give them a couple mulligans. Chris is golf with me. I give myself a couple mulligans.
Yeah, breakfast bowl.
On Saturday. So the game is tonight. You get a Friday where you have to travel back. You get the Pelicans, who know DeJounte Murray. Brandon Ingram's gone now. So this feels like a decent game to get right. Not sure how much work they're going to have on Friday to be able to get everything into the fold. I guess what I'm trying to say is the problem is this is such a tough Western Conference, but I don't know. Then you got to face the Mavericks on Monday. When do you feel like we should start normally evaluating this team? Is it the Mavericks game on Monday? Is it a week the next time they play the Pelicans on Wednesday? What would you say?
I mean, I think the tough reality is that they have to start winning games as soon as possible.
Yeah, like
they're
now.
25-25, ninth in the Western Conference. They're
30 games left in
Yep.
the season, pretty much.
2 games behind the 12th seed, and you're also 3 games behind the 6th seed. Like, it's the same place they've been in the West for a while now. So as much as, I think there will be an understandable like growing period, even though it's a fairly basic offense that they're running. I don't think, there's an adjustment to maybe instead of blue, they use a different term and some terminology and things like that. But for the most part, like I think the stuff that they're running is basic enough that these guys should be able to fit in pretty quickly. Specifically Zach LaVine, I think he'll have a better night than he did last night. Second time all year, he didn't make a 3. He's just coming back from extended time off after the birth of his 3rd child. So I think that, yes, there's going to be a growing pain, but I almost don't feel like they are in a spot where they get the luxury of being like, this is just part of the process.
I don't think they have time for it either. It's the reality though.
Right.
Yeah. No, and on top of that, their schedule's about as easy as it's going to get in this league. Like, you have the Blazers. Granted, I know the Blazers have been playing really, really well recently. Still playing the Blazers. You have the Pelicans 3 times these next 4 games. Then you have Golden State. We'll see how Golden State's adjusting to their Jimmy Butler life. Then you have your Hornets at Utah. Like, you have a lot of opportunities here in the next 7 or 8 games to kind of get right with these new players and have them kind of, get their sea legs under them while playing inferior competition. Because after that, you're back to Rockets, Mavericks, Nuggets, Spurs, Clippers, Knicks, Suns. Like,
you got the Knicks again?
You got the Knicks again. And so it's and that's mid-March. And so it's, you have to take advantage and to answer the overall question, like, you kind of have to hit the ground running here against some inferior opponents, because you're probably not going to do too well. Even if you didn't, make this big De'Aaron Fox trade, you probably were going to struggle during that stretch anyway. You need to collect as many wins as possible. And that's always what the story is you got to beat the easy opponents, because the tough ones, at best, you're going to go 500. So I would say the Kings have to capitalize now. And then if they can't, you got to hope that you're at least close enough to when you're done with that tough stretch. Like, maybe you have a couple spots here and there to pick up some wins, like towards the end of the season, but it might already be decided at that point.
I think to straight up answer your question, there's 5 games until the trade deadline, and maybe I'll allow, not that it's up to me, but like after the trade deadline, you have some time together as a group.
That's what I'm saying.
I think that these 5 games leading up to it will be a little learning curve.
Yes.
And then after that, like, you got to be rolling.
Well, and to Chris's point, it lines up perfectly for the Kings. You have lesser opponents to figure this out. Now, whether they do it or not, and Chris will be around, we're going to have a watch party for the Hornets game. So that'll be
that'll
be a good
not the Spurs game.
Don't get me started. On the other side, we talk about the buyout market and what the Kings have there, what flexibility. Also, a new issue that you wouldn't think a team with 17 guards would have. Alan Stiles and the Insiders, Sactown Sports.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay, where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest. The last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying. Just beautiful.
Whatever you love, find it on eBay. eBay. Things people love.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you get coverage options based on how much you want to pay for car insurance. And then you decide how to spend the rest of your money, because you're in charge. And right now, you're going to pay for groceries. But you decide what groceries. Just keep in mind you're running out of dishwashing soap. But you decide if you're going to buy that soap. Just those dishes won't clean themselves, will they? Remember, with Progressive's Name Your Price tool, we'll help you find coverage at a fair price. And then you're in charge. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Serious accident. You deserve the law offices of Jeremy Winter. 877-637-3237. Jeremy lost his mother in a car accident and knows firsthand the pain caused by tragedy. That is why he became an attorney to fight for others who are going through a tragedy. If you've been seriously injured in an accident, you deserve more. You deserve better. You deserve Jeremy Winter. 877 637-3237.
You know, when it's all on the line, you need a big-time closer, and that's especially true when it comes to your garage door. And that's why I recommend National Garage Door, 638-4554. Whitey Gleason here for National Garage Door. Whether you're looking to repair an existing door or get a brand new one installed, you need National Garage Door. Family-owned and operated. They've been around since 1974 because service is their number one priority. National Garage Door are the region's BSE, it's broken spring experts. Styles, prices, and quality of the new doors will amaze you. Our garage door was starting to sound kind of, and that's not good. So Kevin from National Garage Door came out. He said patching up the old one was an option, but we're getting a new garage door. We're pretty happy about that. National Garage Door sells quality Rainer branded garage doors. They offer sales, service, and installation on all residential and commercial doors and operators. If you have garage door needs, old ones coming apart, or you're looking to improve your curb appeal, let National Garage Door come through for you in the clutch and be your closer. 638-4554, National Garage Door.
Hey, it's Capital Casino, Sacramento's #1 poker room, and the regular season is over, but the high hand bonuses, those are not. $500 per primetime football game, whether it's weekend, Monday night, whatever it may be. And those bonuses available until the season ends, including the big game on February 9th. Capital Casino, 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento. For more information, log on to capital-casino.com. Please gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
I can't believe how spotless my floors look after using the Swiffer Power Mop. No more dragging around a heavy mop and messy bucket. Now I get the same deep clean without all the work. Thanks to the powerful solution and scrubbing pad of the Swiffer Power Mop, dirt and grime don't stand a chance, and I don't break a sweat. Mic drop. Mop drop.
Swiffer Power Mop. Swiffer Power Mop.
A smarter way to mop. Try it or your money back.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys, I love this song. I love these nachos. I love our kickball league. Oh, I love this guy. What's your name? You know what I love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, it's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch every day from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Show up early, cash out quarterly. The first 100 fans to show up for the big game on Sunday get a free square for the chance to win a Twin Peaks gift card at the end of every quarter. Plus, every fan scores free fried pickles just for showing up. Contact your favorite store for information on availability and offers.
The only station in Sacramento giving you local sports coverage from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. Sactown Sports.
Joined by Chris Watkins, Brendan Nunez, breaking down the trade deadline extravaganza. 30 minutes have passed. How are you feeling about your Sacramento Kings? Okay, guys, so Jake LaRavia, Jonas Valanciunas, Zach LaVine, and they may not be done yet. A lot of buyout candidates out there. Do you think, and Brendan, you were breaking this down during the break, 3 roster spots open for the Kings. Do you think that there is something else that they may acquire before this is all said and done?
Yeah, they have 3 roster spots left after all of this. I would expect that Isaac Jones, who's getting very close to his 2-way limit of how many NBA games he could play, I think it makes a lot of sense to convert his contract to a standard deal. I think he just changed his number too, Chris, you were saying. Important details there. But then you have 2 remaining spots after that. And you would have an open 2-way spot to try and fill as well, you know. You go revisit Sidy Cissoko for a 2-way spot, you know. But I think guys like Torrey Craig definitely will perk some ears. It wouldn't surprise me if, Boston got off of Jaden Springer and opened up a roster spot. Like, it's going to be hard to compete with those like top tier teams that are really, viewed as legitimate contenders for some of these buyout candidates. But I think you would think that the Kings benefit would be like, hey, well, you probably get more playing time here. So I expect them to try to do things on the buyout market here as we try to, honestly, I'm still trying to make sense of who's even out there.
Who
I was gonna say, I think Springer got traded yesterday.
Yeah. Well, he got traded to clear up a roster spot for Boston.
So he got waived.
So Hoops Hype is all over it. They just dropped this about 18 minutes ago. And a name that I've been bringing up for a while, Larry Nance Jr. is on this list. Ben Simmons and Bojan Bogdanovic, Seth Curry and Taj.
Those must be names to watch. I don't think they've been bought out yet.
Yeah,
no.
Projecting
Yeah.
Because I was like, I don't think Ben Simmons has been bought out.
Yes, Bruce Brown and Kelly Olynyk, guys like that. So yeah, I mean the list it's doing its thing, guys, and I think that the Kings are gonna look to do something. Whether they do something, I'm not sure. But one of the conversations that we've had a lot of is the amount of guards. And Chris, I want to throw to you because you've kind of been all over this from a playmaking perspective, and all guards aren't created equal. And I think we saw some of that last night. And Zach LaVine is going to have the ball more as he gets more comfortable in the offense. But even the biggest De'Aaron Fox hater has to admit that what we saw last night, once Malik Monk got into foul trouble, showed another issue with this roster, that you don't really have a backup point guard. You got backup guards, but Keon Ellis is not there yet. Devin Carter is not there yet. And
I'm not sure Malik Monk is there yet.
And you can make that argument, but that's what we got, right? And that was something I was talking to someone yesterday, and they said, it's not crazy that it wouldn't have been crazy for the Kings to get Chris Paul back in that deal. And on the outside looking in, I can hear Allen right now, not seeing what I saw last night, freaking out. It just like a lot of fans would. If they got Chris Paul, who's 5'11", back, but after seeing what I saw last night, they need a backup point guard, which is crazy to say with 18 guards that they have.
I think they need a starting point guard, to be honest. I think that it's a nice audition that you can give Malik, and who knows? I mean, I can definitely be proven wrong. I think he's shown capability. I understand why he's shown enough to even think that there's a possibility he could be ready for a step up like that. But I just think he is a good playmaker situationally, like for what he is. I think he is a really good playmaker. I think the fact that he and Domas have that 2-man game is a great plus to have. But I think it's a completely different thing to say run the show and make sure that everyone's kind of getting their touches. I always talk about there's a quote that Mike Conley had way back when he was in Memphis about, talking about how it's his job to make sure Zebo's getting enough touches, make sure that Marc Gasol's getting enough touches, make sure Tony Allen's getting enough touches. And I just don't know if Malik Monk, not as an insult to him, I think it's really just an instinctual thing that point guards have. You kind of have to have that in you where you just instinctually know, I need to make sure my guys are getting enough touches. And I think Malik, is just a natural scorer. I don't think that's necessarily how his makeup is. I think he can play make, but if you're going to ask him to have that be a primary thing that he does, I think that you're going to see, frankly, what we saw last night, and that's a lot of turnovers, a lot of sloppy play, and a lot of times where it can feel pretty erratic at points. But I think with that, you're going to get some really exciting moments too. There's going to be days where Malik is locked in, and you're going to have Zach LaVine flying down the floor, him and Malik throwing lobs back and forth. Like, there's going to be days where this Kings offense is going to be really exciting. But to your point, you're going to have also nights like last night where, maybe Malik's in foul trouble. Maybe Malik's shot isn't falling. Maybe Malik's drawing more attention than what he typically would. And we're going to see this offense really struggle and look really, really clunky at points because they just don't naturally have somebody who runs the show and knows how to kind of operate in that.
Yeah, I think Chris pointed out yesterday, and it was a good point of like when Malik gets in trouble a little bit, whether that's foul trouble or just having an off night, like who's your fallback? And I don't think that you can feel comfortable with Devin Carter at this point. Still optimistic about his future, but just hasn't looked good at all so far. Keon Ellis, not a traditional point guard at all. I think when he gets pressed, that sometimes even just bringing the ball up the court can be a little bit difficult. Last night, there was a lot of talk about, like, Domas even said to LaVine at a point while Malik was off the floor, Domas shared this with us, that, like, hey, turn to Zach LaVine, you got to run point here. And Zach talked about it after the game. Like, that's one of the learning processes, is figuring out, like, oh, this is my time, And so I think your offensive responsibilities when it comes to point guard really go to Malik Monk and Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Domantas Sabonis somewhat, but really those main three guards, and they're all score first players. Not that De'Aaron wasn't, but you saw him have 13 assists yesterday for the Spurs. Like,
I missed it.
I think that, sounds about right. I just, that is a concerning aspect here, but I saw somebody joke like the Kings are a team of a bunch of hoopers with Domantas Sabonis to try to bring it all together, and they don't really play defense.
Yeah.
And I still think that's kind of where we're at. LaRavia may help you there, Jonas, whatever, some size. But offensive flow, I think, is something that, just keeping tabs on as we go here.
Yeah, I'm looking here, and a name that we brought up before, but Trey Jones, who goes to the Bulls, they were looking to move him. They didn't move him. He's making $9 million. He's another guy who this is the last year on his contract. So he's making 9.1. After this, he's an unrestricted free agent. Not sure that there's anything that you could do. We know that they're comfortable working with the Bulls and that, that whole money situation. Maybe at this point, they're just going to ride. I think there's a part of me that just feels like they're going to ride with what they got. If you are going to do the buyout thing, you might as well do it with all these changes that are happening right now. I know that process takes a little bit longer, but the Kings, to the point of you, Chris, and also you, Brendan, just with what the West is, you can't spend too much time getting more people into the fold. You got to rock and roll here a little bit and just see what you got if you really want to make that push. One more segment with our guys, and we talk about what the Kings' expectations are now post-trade deadline. Adam Stiles, Sactown Sports.
Tonight, Kings and Trailblazers. Game night with Scott Marsh and the high flyer Henry Turner starts at 5:30. Tip off at 7.
The Kings play here on Sactown Sports.
Sactown Sports, 1140.
I was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean when it happened. There was a sudden jolt and our submarine crashed on the seafloor. We were in total darkness.
That's Dr. Dejana Figueroa, a marine biologist and STEM teacher, talking about a deep sea dive she'll never forget.
It's funny, when I was a kid, I was afraid of the ocean, and there I was 2 miles below the surface. But as a scientist, you prepare for that. Using our training and a little creativity, we fixed the sub and finished our experiments. The dive was just too important. Every dive gives us glimpses at things few people ever get to see. Glowing creatures, fiery undersea volcanoes. When we got back to the surface, I kissed the ground and called my mom, of course. But you know what? I wouldn't trade that dive for anything.
Dr. Figueroa uses her passion for STEM to discover new things and make the world a better place. She can STEM, so can you. Check out She Can STEM for more stories and inspiration. A message from the Ad Council.
To my city by the bay. NBA All-Star. Get ready for a show. Are you ready to entertain? Let's get it on TNT.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-301-4422, 800-301-4422, 800-301-4422.
Discover unbeatable value at Folsom Buick GMC this President's Day. Drive with assurance and our 20-year, 200,000-mile powertrain warranty. Enjoy $10,000 off all 2024 Hummer EVs, plus 0% APR for 60 months for qualified buyers. Lease the 2025 Hummer EV for just $818 per month. These offers end March 3rd, 2025. Visit Folsom Buick GMC today, your EV headquarters for power, performance, and savings. Select units and check dealer for details.
Okay, guys, who is done with their Valentine's Day shopping?
What are you waiting for? Stop putting off your Valentine's Day shopping and go to Prestigio Jewelers today.
She's right. Prestigio Jewelers has everything you need for Valentine's this year. And you're approved to guaranteed. No credit, bad credit, even bankruptcy? 6 months proof of income guarantees you a credit line of $400 to $10,000. Time is running out. Make this a Valentine's Day she'll never forget. Visit one of our showrooms today or online at prestigiojewelers.com.
Hey, it's time to pull up your calendar app. The Sactown Sports Live Events calendar is packed with must-see shows. Get ready for Miles Kennedy at Ace of Spades on February 18th, a night of pure vocal power and killer guitar work. Then on March 8th, the Fists Fly at Thunder Showdown Boxing at Thunder Valley, where every punch could be a knockout. On March 15th, the legendary Steel Panther brings their high-energy hair metal madness to Ace of Spades. This one's going to be wild. And the next night, country fans get their fix as Alexandra Kay takes the stage at Ace of Spades on March 16th with her soulful vocals and heartfelt songs. Then March 29th, it's a doubleheader. Papa Roach and Rise Against tear up Golden One Center for a night of high-energy rock. And over at Hard Rock Live Sacramento, comedy legends Jay Leno and Arsenio Hall team up for an unforgettable night of laughs. Tickets are going fast, so don't wait. Get all the details at SactownSports.com.
The good news? Now that you've lost the excess weight, InShape Fitness is here to help you maintain your new look with everything from fitness classes to full-length mirrors to admire your new self. We are InShape. You are ready. Join online today at InShape.com.
Live and local, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday through Friday. Sactown Sports.
We got the guys for 15 more minutes. Appreciate them for taking the time. Brennan's on here posting articles that you can read on SactownSports.com. So be sure to check that out. Chris Watkins doing his thing as always. Guys, how are you feeling about the team just as far as moving forward? What do you think the ceiling for the team is? You think that, because I've already said the 5 seed is gone, right? 5 seed is gone to me. Have you cooled off with your expectations to just, hey, we're going to be in the play and it's just a matter of where? Or are you still, because last season I was the hope guy for the 6 seed or even the 5th seed. This season I'm very much, if they get the 7 seed, I will be ecstatic. Where are you guys at with the ceiling of this team?
You know, I still think the ceiling is getting out of the play-in. And that could be in the regular season. Like, you could sneak into that 6th spot. I think it's an uphill battle for sure. I think that Dallas is still going to be very good this year with Anthony Davis. The Clippers just made some small moves, obviously, what the Lakers did. Memphis lost a little bit of depth, obviously, LaRavia, but still a really solid team. Still got OKC, Houston towards the top there. But, like, the Kings are right in the thick of this crowded, 6 to 12 race. The Spurs, by the way, are probably going to get better throughout this whole process and going to be flirting with this conversation as well. But I still think it's reasonable to say that the upside, like, ceiling of this group is still a 6 seed. I don't think that that's realistic, like that I'd be betting on that necessarily. I think we're probably talking more like 8, 9 around where they're at right now. But when you're only 3 games behind the 6th seed at this point in the season, and you're making, you traded away Fox, but like what I still think are win now moves, then you have to still think that you could at least flirt with not being in the play-in come the postseason.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think the play-in is just kind of where this team is destined to be. If they make it out of it, if they make the 6th seed, I would be frankly surprised, and I think that would be a real accomplishment. And we'll see what happens. I think I could see this team making it out of, if they had to play 2 games in the play-in, like I could see that happening. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think that's kind of the ceiling of this current squad is making the first round, but probably more than likely eventually losing because of the defensive struggles. And I guess it kind of depends on who they match up with, and it's not a guarantee, but it just kind of feels like talent-wise, if this team were to have to face an OKC, who knows, a Denver, an LA at that point in the season. Like, I just wouldn't feel very good about them in a 7-game series. So, you know, I think that's good. That's okay. But I think the tough part overall is where do you go from there? I mean, at that point, you either have to continue to try and build on top of what you already have, or if Jake LaRavia is going to be a free agent and then you get to the offseason and you feel like, oh man, maybe Zach LaVine isn't going to re-up here long-term. Are you then did you just kind of kick the can down the line and make it so, okay, maybe we need to hit the rebuild button in the offseason? Getting too far ahead of myself there, but essentially, yeah, I mean, I just think that this team is kind of destined to flounder and yeah, maybe have some fun along the way. But I think ultimately your goal shouldn't be to make the playoffs. Your goal should be to win in the playoffs and hopefully make it deep in the playoffs. And right now, with just kind of where they're at and with the situation they got put in or put themselves in, however you want to say it, I just feel like the best that they can hope for is even making the playoffs in general.
Let's take a step back to the rest of the West, because a lot of these teams made some big moves. We haven't even kind of gone over all of them yet. There have been so many, from Jimmy Butler to the Warriors, obviously Luka on the Lakers, and how that changes the landscape of the Western Conference and just the league as a whole. I guess we can just remove the Luka one. What is the biggest move that, I guess the biggest winner is obviously the Lakers, right? Is there any? Okay. Biggest winner is the Lakers. So if we take the Lakers out of it, any team or any move that moved you or said, oh man, okay, this team is different now, because the Warriors and getting Jimmy Butler, that did nothing for me. And I think it did nothing for a lot of people, right? It almost was a weird, don't get into the details, but cost-cutting move somehow. Even though they re-signed Jimmy, they moved further under the first apron, second, whatever it is. But the Lakers, that's the biggest, or the Warriors, that's the other biggest name to get Jimmy Butler besides that. But I don't even think that really scares me. And we're going to see him in March, or was it in February or March? We're seeing them one more time. But is there anybody else? Would you put the Warriors in that category? Anybody where you say, all right, that's a team that you got to worry about now?
The San Antonio Spurs, line one.
Are you serious?
I mean,
are you?
I think so.
You're talking about? Are you just asking about this season? Or?
This season.
I mean, then, I feel like they can make some noise for sure. Whatever, maybe more noise than what they were anticipating. But I mean, the Spurs getting De'Aaron Fox is like a massive, massive deal. The thing that we said about the Spurs last year is they had no point guard at all. They were running Jeremy Sohan at point guard last year. They needed to get a point guard for Wemby. It was great to get Chris Paul, and you were just kind of thinking that they were going to patchwork a point guard. Trey Jones, I think, is good, but probably not good enough. For them to get De'Aaron is like absolutely massive. Like that is, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but like that's the kind of thing that really does build a dynasty. Like they can now build. De'Aaron's 28 years old. Wemby's going to be entering in 2029. Wemby is going to be the same age that Luka is right now. Like they are set for the future with De'Aaron Fox being added to that core. And I mean, if it's not the Lakers that won the deadline, which they absolutely did, you get Luka Doncic at the trade deadline. Forget the fact that you barely gave anything up. You're going to win. But besides that, I mean, the Spurs absolutely won the deadline for setting themselves up, not just for this season, not just for next season, but I mean, if they re-sign Fox, like they're going to have Wemby and a all-star caliber player next to him guaranteed at least one for the next 4 to 6 years. Like I think they're the massive, massive winner of all this. And they didn't give up anything, as we've talked about. Like they still have Castle, they still have Vassell, they still have Sohan, they still have other picks that if they want to go out there and go big fish hunting. I mean, if they, they want to go maybe make a Giannis bid in the offseason, who knows? If they want to go smaller potatoes and look at what Zion's worth in the offseason, that might not be a big cost for them. Like they could really go big fish hunting and literally get whoever they want.
Do we want to get really doomer and ask who's the better team right now between the two?
No.
Okay. I think that might answer our question. Yeah.
Well, we don't know what the Kings are.
That's the concerning thing. I mean,
we got to see more. We got to see more.
You're right. You're right.
We got to see more. We're not doing that. We're not doing that.
Yeah, trying to think what other
the Heat
notable moves stand out.
The Heat, weirdly, just because I like Wiggins when he's engaged and rolling. Somebody on the text line, Davion does get down to Miami.
He's a perfect Heat guy, by the way.
He's going to be nasty. He's going to be nasty.
Yeah.
They move on from the Jimmy drama in the Eastern Conference. Yeah. I think, relatively speaking, in the East, the Heat could maybe just say, we're done. Let's move forward. I'm trying to think of the big. Oh, and Kyle Kuzma saying goodbye to the best King that never was. Kyle Kuzma headed to Milwaukee. A lot of people were saying jokes about adding Kyle Kuzma to that quote unquote big three, but he's going to give you more than Chris Middleton did.
Yeah,
I more consistent. Yeah.
More. Middleton definitely fell off pretty quickly these last couple years. I think the Warriors are going to be pretty good. I'm also a Jimmy Butler guy, and like he had a lot of baggage to him throughout the course of this season. But I think that when he finds a new home, like as funny as much as we'll joke about like the Buddy Hield cycle, right? Of a new team is like, whoa, why wasn't this guy? Why didn't anybody want to get rid of this guy? And then eventually he struggles. And then it's, oh my God, we need to trade this guy. Jimmy Butler has a cycle too. And usually when he gets to a team, he makes a very big impact
quickly
and in a hurry. And you still have Steph Curry. You still have a lot of your young pieces on that team as well. I think the Warriors are going to be pretty good, and the Spurs as well. Two teams below you in the Western Conference that got better and are probably neck and neck with the Kings now.
And as optimistic as I'm trying to be, that's why I don't really see a world where the Kings get out of the play-in. There's just too much going on, and I'm not a huge Jimmy Butler guy, but it finally gives the Warriors at the very least direction. Right. Okay. We're all in, and they get to keep not even super all in because you still got Pods who dropped 27.
We're all
night.
in on the double timeline.
We're all in on Jimmy being better than Wiggins, I guess. So, and they lose Lindy Waters, who that guy's been I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. But he was balling.
All right. Detroit. Shout out Hunter.
There you go. Thank you guys for joining us, and thank you for all the great work that you do. I know that I guess things quiet down a little bit, but not in a quiet down from the speculation sensation, but not from the actual gameplay. Everything is going on. The Kings got the game tonight. So appreciate all the great work you do doing the double time duty with Frankie Cardicelli out, Brendan Nunez, Chris Watkins. Follow them on social media and check out all their work on SactownSports.com and our social media, Instagram and Twitter as well. I'm trying to get our TikTok up, but we haven't been able to do that yet. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.
Appreciate you.
Tonight, Kings and Trailblazers. Game night with Scott Marsh and the high flyer Henry Turner starts